Lucid For Life.
Alright. Holy shit, guys, welcome back. We are Mike and Dave, and we are Lucid For Life.
Dude, Lucid For Life, baby. I'm glad to be back, Mike. Oh, I'm excited about this episode. We did a little research on some bullshit. What do we got, Mike? What do we got?
Well, I don't know if it's all bullshit, but I think we're going to talk about a little dream interpretation today.
Hell yeah. It all depends on how you want to interpret your dreams. That's how I'm going to start off right off the get. Don't look into it so hard, guys. Dreams are going to be dreams, and they're all just theories.
Exactly. There's so much random stuff that happens. You usually dream about what happens during the day and what emotions you're going through and blah, 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 blah. So sometimes it's this random bullshit and not really important. I think I start paying attention when it's like a reoccurring dream.
Yeah, absolutely. It almost feels like it should mean a little more. Why does your mind keep going to this? You know, and I always try and look at the positive things, but sometimes when it's something like hurting your child, you know, as I talked before about it, when it's reoccurring, the way I like to interpret that is I'm so worried he's going to get hurt. And who's the worst person that can hurt him is yourself. You know, and you don't want to do that. So I think it's just such a big fear in me that I dream about it. I dream about the scenarios of it happening because it's something that worries me. And that's how I take it, and that's how I leave it. But now, if you looked into certain books, as we have dug in a little bit, you went to the library, I ended up buying mine in a bundle pack with an extra Stephen LaBerge book, which I'm pretty excited about. You know, you start looking up these dreams to try and find a meaning, and when you use somebody else to interpret your dream, it's going to come out cobbled as fuck. I mean, you're gonna have different stories from different people. Just, God, first of all, don't spend any money on it. I mean, come on.
Really. Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of like reading the horoscope or doing tarot cards or whatever, and you're going to find like one or two little things that match, and you're going, holy shit, this is totally accurate, and it's right, and it predicted my dreams, and blah, blah, blah. Right. But never mind the other, 80-90% that was bullshit. You just ignore that.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's been my experience with it anyway. Some people take it seriously, but, to each his own.
Mike, I got to tell you, something that really made me want to do this podcast on interpretation was something really that just, it irked me so much, especially I preach Stephen LaBerge. You know, I love the guy. He's just so great when it comes to everything that we speak about. And one of the things that he brought up was you are the best interpreter for your own dreams. And I like that most because you don't have to take so much negative from it. But the story that made me irked was me and my fiance and her girlfriend. We're all sitting here one night having a few drinks and just shooting the shit. And I was talking to her about lucid dream, just like I try and talk to everybody. And it's hard to break the ice, but it's something I love to talk about. And I said to her about this lucid dream, and of course everybody wants to share their dreams with you, which I love. I love to listen and I love to share about my dreams. So she starts telling me about, yeah, my husband woke up from a dream, and he was dreaming about tornadoes. And, well, you know what that means. He's got some problems in his life that he needs to change. And I'm thinking in my head, now hold the fuck on. Right. Chrissy has dreams about tornadoes all the time, and that's because she's scared as fuck about some tornadoes, and we had one just 5 miles from our house. Like, hang on, where are you getting this? Oh, I looked it up online. It's going,
nice.
Oh my God, yeah, I'm a French model, bonjour. You know, it's like, come on, So it's one of those things that really irks me, and I think it's holding those lucid dreamers back, the believers that we could have on our side, because it's just another fundamental of bullshit that somebody's spilling to make you believe, make you curious, make you think things that you don't need to, there's so many stories out there too.
Yeah, with any of these subjects, you're gonna find people that just go way out there with whatever,
overboard. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like you're just kind of totally against all dream interpretation, though.
Well, when it comes to definition, because we could take something as simple as, I became lucid quite a few times, okay? When it comes to my teeth falling out of my head. Now, in this book, it says, this interpretation book that I have, it says something like, my teeth, if anything resembles your teeth or falling out, you're worried about the fundamentals of life and they're going down the drain and you need to do something to change
Oh, you're
it.
just worried about your teeth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Thanks, Mike. You took the words right out of my mouth. How did you know that? You must be some kind of guru.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just common sense.
Right.
I don't want to lose my teeth. I see people in my work all the time. Their teeth are disgusting and they're falling out of their head.
Yeah.
And it gives me the motivation to brush away.
Right.
You know, and I don't want to lose my teeth, you know? I mean, in real life, I've worried that I chipped a tooth because I'm bringing something up and I smack myself in the teeth and I'm looking at my teeth making sure they're okay. Now, that's an honest fear. That's going to be portrayed in my subconscious, I'm sure. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. So just throw away the definition books, guys, and focus more on what does it play in reality? Or what insight does it bring to you in a positive aspect? You know, because it's in my personal opinion, Mike, I'm not totally against it as long as it's open to personal review. You know, so if you think about losing your hair, imagine it's the fear of losing your hair, not because somebody's going to die soon. You know, let's use common sense in this situation. So
yeah, exactly. That's pretty much how I feel about it. And yeah, speaking of the teeth thing, I've had those dreams before, and it was only because I was thinking about going to the dentist or I had some tooth pain or whatever. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I agree. And I became lucid because of my teeth falling out of my head. You know, I'm going, wait a sec. My teeth, I've woke up out of bed because of this before. It's just a fear of mine. Right. And now I'm lucid. Let's go have some fun. So.
Yeah, I've gotten lucid from the tornadoes, but never the teeth. Nice. You would think, because that would be so traumatic. Yeah. Like half your mouth's falling out. And...
Oh, I remember fishing them out of my head and holding them up to the mirror going, oh my God. Yeah. Now, wait a second.
I think at that point, I just want to wake up.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I don't care about lucid dreaming.
It's massive. Yeah. Wake up. I need to see my teeth. I will brush you. Yeah. Take me from sleep paralysis so I can make it to the sink. But yeah, man, you said, yeah, it sounds like I'm totally against it. I'm just, I don't know, this book that I have, and I don't want to completely bash it because I did not read it front to back. Right. I went over it, I reviewed it because it's the book that I'm not so happy that people get a hold of. But it's The Complete Dream Book. It's by Gillian Holloway, and I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. And, of course, it's stamped with a PhD, which...
means nothing these days.
I know.
I got it online.
Yeah. But, nothing against her, you know? We all gotta make money. Right. Oh, that sounds so bad, too. But it's so true. All right, I'm just being an asshole when it comes to the stream interpretation stuff. Mike, what do you got? What do you got that's positive?
Well, the book I picked up, I got it from the library. It was called The Dream Source Book.
Ah, you sent me a picture of it.
Yeah, and that was by Phyllis Koch-Shiraz. Probably screwing that up.
Well, I'll believe it.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It actually has a lot of historical information about dreams and...
Oh, see, that's cool.
A lot of scientific information about what dreams are, and talks about a lot of the psychologists, Freud and Jung and several others, and it had really good information just in general, and it also mentioned lucid dreaming, which was really cool. Kind of had a little bit of different technique, but really nothing new there. But yeah, through the whole book, they kind of had the same mentality that we have. Is this is just a guideline for how to interpret your dreams, and the best interpreter is the dreamer.
Absolutely.
And some of this stuff, they didn't say it this way, but some of this stuff is bullshit, but this is some of the beliefs out there. So I thought it was a pretty good, sensible book that wasn't, too airy-fairy, mystical,
well,
stuff
see,
we're
that's
trying to
cool.
avoid, but...
Yeah, well, see, that's good. At least it took a different approach to it. And it gave some history and things like that. Maybe she just, whoever wrote it needed to fill in the last 50 blank pages of dream definitions or interpretations. But at least, Mike, with the benefit of the doubt, at least they're giving some of the history. That's great.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I didn't read. I kind of skim read it, but
yeah,
there's a lot of it I felt like I didn't really want to know about. But
I wanted to share, because I don't mean to be spotty, but we're gonna be talking about interpretations for a while. I just wanted to share with everybody about our little smell test that we've been having. You cool with talking about that for a little bit, Mike?
Yeah. This is pretty interesting. I like it.
Yeah. I don't know, about 6 months back, would you say, I gave you a call and wanted to tell you about this new idea I had. And I watched a TV program through the wormhole. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. It's a very good program. It's very, whether the facts are set in stone or they're just opinions, it really helps open your mind to expand it to new ideas. Now, one of the things they brought up was how smell gets interpreted in dreams as basically what it was saying was, if you have political speeches on and the man who's running up for presidency is playing and you put a rotten potato below the person's nose, when you play it again, you're not gonna, when you hear that man's voice and you hear him talk, you're going to mentally be challenged by this rotten smell of potatoes you had when you were dreaming. Okay, and the study has been done, and I wish I had the actual study, the video, but it's on there.
Do you remember the name of that?
I know it's through the wormhole. They did that.
Through the wormhole.
I just don't know which episode it was, and I wish I did because I'd watch it again.
Okay.
Now after I watched that, it got me thinking, which, like I said, it opens up your mind. And I was thinking, these Glade plugins, and I have a timer, where I can set it to my REM sleep. So how am I going to go about this? Well, we already know that, the best thing to do, other than, sporadic awareness, would be to do your reality checks. Obviously, you need to do reality checks so you question yourself subconsciously. We're going through stuff we already reviewed. But anyway, what I do is I take a Glade and I carry it around with me. It's the oils that you do with the Glade plugin. I'll smell it, and I'll envision my most favorite time lucid. I'll picture that. It's a snowy grassland with my dog jumping around in the snow, and there's pine trees in front of me, and it's just perfect out. It's just what I want. I imagine that with my eyes closed, and I smell the scent, and then when I open up my eyes, I'm looking at my hand, and then I do a nose plug. And I'm to the point now where I can smell it. I can recall the smell without even smelling it. And then when I smell it, it confirms it in my head. That's the smell that I reenacted in my mind. And what I want to do with that is use it to become lucid. So after you go, I'm using a week to go through just doing my reality checks with this smell check. And then at night, on my wake back to beds, I take the Glade plugin with me and I plug it in, and then I smell while I'm going back into a wild or a mild or just a dream-induced lucid dream, whichever you prefer. But I'm hoping to use that smell to incorporate only doing reality checks in awareness when you're smelling it. So that'll bring it back into the dream.
So the idea of it is that the sense of smell is closely connected to memory.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Very closely.
And in that video you watched, so they would introduce smells while they were dreaming, and then they would have
Yes.
dreams related to that smell.
Yes, they would play a tone when they used it on a human, yeah. Anyway, they would play a high note, and they would give them a sense of sweet, sugary smell. And then later in that night, they would give them a low tone, and they would give them a very vomit or disgusting sense of smell.
Oh.
And then when the man was awake, they reenacted those sounds, and only the sounds. Okay? And that person would cringe when they played the low tone, the nasty smell of vomit or whatever they used, and the heart would race, and he would hold his breath.
Oh, nice.
And then during, obviously, the high tones of the opposite, he would take deeper breaths without having any smell hooked up. They had the smell hooked up while he was sleeping. The subconscious picked it up, and they used it during reality. And to me, that is fucking amazing, Mike. If we can get a sense of smell into our dreams from the outside world, we might just have something. So hopefully the next podcast we have a few success stories.
Yeah, that's interesting with the tone there. So we're kind of working it backwards from what they did, I feel like.
Well,
'Cause
they're putting sound with smell.
Okay.
I'm putting reality checks with smell.
But
So when you smell it, you think to do a reality
right.
check.
So, but still, that the smell and the memory connection, I think it'd be the same.
Okay. So I'm excited.
I'm just trying to make it clear for people who are listening. Is all.
No,
But,
yeah, absolutely.
uh,
I never really thought of it that way. It is kind of working it in a redirect.
But I feel like it's the same. I think it's the same thing, and I think it's gonna work. I'm actually pretty excited about it myself.
Well, we both know expectation grows a huge,
Well,
when you're confident and you expect it to work too. So
excitement,
We're both
motivation, and all that stuff
Yes.
goes together. Yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah, I have my own little scent. It's actually pretty bulky in my pocket, and I have to do it in secret while I'm at work.
Is
But
that a Glade plugin, or are you just happy to
it's-
see me, Mike?
Well, I got the oil thing with the little. I think it's Airwick or something like that.
Yes, yes.
But
so
yeah,
did I.
so every time I smell mine, I think this is the smell of lucidity, and
Yes,
I'll just do
nice.
some awareness stuff and maybe a nose plug, reality check, and that kind of thing. So hopefully it's gonna work.
Yes.
I think it's
Dude,
a very
it's-
interesting idea. I like it.
Yeah, dude, it's so cool having somebody do this with you, so you can compare notes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially someone like yourself. I consider a vet. You're always too modest, but I consider you a vet. So it's cool that I could spring an idea on you, and you could take hold of it. It makes me excited about it, man. I really appreciate you doing this with me.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, cool.
So are you hoping to for the smell to?
This
Do
is
you
what
want
I
to smell
pictured.
it as you're wilding, or do you want it the smell
This
to
is-
concentrate while you're dreaming?
This is what I pictured, Mike. On my way back to bed, I go to lay down. I plug in that Glade plug-in,
Yeah.
and I smell it the whole time, and I concentrate on the smell and the vision and doing reality checks the exact way I did in reality. So I just remembered myself doing this in the garage before the podcast. I pulled it out of my lunchbox from work. I smelled it. I pictured the snow, my dog, the pine trees, and then I opened up my eyes, did a hand and nose. And when I go back to sleep and I do my wake back to bed after we've done this for a week, I'll be doing that exact check. I will be in my garage. I will be doing that,
Oh.
or whatever the last one was.
I just realized
So-
what you're doing. Yeah. So you're hoping
Yes.
to enter that dream environment that you're imagining. Just from
Absolutely,
that,
Mike.
the memory of the
Because
smell.
I
Okay.
want the memory and the smell to be linked as one. So when I smell it, I'll have the memory with the smell at the same time, and then when I do wild, I slowly enter that dream, and I see my dog hopping around in that snow, and I say, "Time to fly, baby!"
That's
yeah.
badass. That's badass. Well, I'm kind of working a different angle. I'm just hoping that while I'm dreaming, I will notice the smell, and it will remind me to do some awareness and reality checks.
Perfect.
So I'm not looking for any specific environment to enter in, but that's
Okay.
cool. We're working two different angles, so.
I like it. Very cool.
So with dream interpretation, I just want to make it clear that we obviously don't know everything about the subject, and we've just seen a lot of bullshit, and
bullshit.
So I guess we're kind of skeptical, but we're also open-minded.
Well, you always got to stay open-minded, right? I mean, if you want people to hear you out, you got to hear them out.
Exactly. And I'm always open to be proven wrong about anything we ever talk about on this podcast.
You're wrong.
Prove it.
Perfect. I love it.
But so yeah, now I don't think all dreams are meaningless. And if you do, then I think you're missing out, because we all have our shit to work out. And if you ignore your dreams, especially the reoccurring ones that really freak you out, then I think you're probably missing out on something important.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Mike.
And that's basically, my whole thought of that part of dream interpretation.
Yeah, we were talking earlier through texting and stuff about Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. And, when it comes to our great psychologists that we look up to, at least I look up to, Mike, because they started this. They started the platform for this and became what we know as lucid dreaming. They really were getting into it, just in the beginning. And Sigmund Freud interprets every dream being linked to something sexual, something animalistic, something deep down bound inside of every one of us to procreate. And you have to agree with him in some sense, because for one, REM does bring a lot of blood flow to the penis and the vag, whatever. Right. Excuse me if I'm not being anatomically correct, but so you can see how a lot of dreams are going to relate to sex, which, by the way, in future shows, we will be doing a podcast on lucid dreaming and sex dreams, which will be very interesting. Ooh. But anyway, back to Sigmund Freud. He believed everything could go back to sex. Now, later on in his studies, he did say that he could be compromised. He found flaws in his own argument, which is great from a psychologist like this to say that, because, I mean, he's being open-minded, just like you and I want to be, Mike. And I can relate to that. I can see how a lot of dreams would relate back to sex, but not all dreams. So I squash it there. That's just how I believe. I don't think everything is related back to sex, because as human beings, we're such a more evolved species. We have more emotions other than being horny and wanting to bust a nut. So, you know what I mean? Nobody wants to lose their job, and everybody wants to keep food on the table for their family. Nobody wants to lose their teeth out of their fucking head. So we're going to have other things we're worrying about other than procreation. So that's how I feel about that.
I find his stuff hard to swallow when it comes to that. No pun intended.
Nice.
Well, the book I read mentioned that he came from the Victorian era, and apparently there was a lot of sexual suppression during that time for whatever reason. I don't remember exactly why, but maybe he had his own issues that is the reason why he thought that so much. But I mean, to me, I feel like if my dream is about sex, is because I'm having a sex dream.
Absolutely, that's weird. Did you just use common sense to interpret your own dreams, Mike?
Yeah, I did.
We all can learn from you.
I mean, this guy is like way smarter than you or I, but I feel like there's some validity to what he's saying. But I just to think that everything's about sex is just really. I like how you brought
up his era, though, because it doesn't matter what area, or it does matter exactly what area you're in. Back in the day, we used to think that the world revolved around us, and that was the right way of thinking.
Right.
Now, we think a hell of a lot differently, but there's certainly things and theories that we believe in now that are going to be wrong. Now, his era made him prove to be a very smart man in his time, and he has a lot of very important things. So when it comes to bashing Freud, it's not bashing him. We respect him 110%, and he, like you said, Mike, he's a lot smarter than us. But there's going to be certain things that don't line up, that we don't agree, because we're in a different era. We're in a different thinking zone, different everything. All different time zones.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I'm talking to you in the future.
Oh, hey.
By 1 hour. Anyway, yeah, you're totally right there. But so we're not the only ones to disagree with him, right?
No, I mean his student, his predecessor, his Jung, Carl Jung, the great Carl Jung. This man, I want to say, passed up his teacher, which is great. Sigmund Freud, I imagine if he has any level of compassion, he should be proud of Carl Jung. But Carl Jung, he believed that dreams are a way of communication and equating yourself with your unconscious. That they're not an attempt to conceal your true feelings from the waking mind, but rather they are a window to your unconscious. So he figured there's different levels. Just like I've learned to believe, and I honestly do believe, that you have a conscious, a subconscious, you have your egos, there's a super ego, which I can't touch basis on because I'm still reading about that. But, he believed that it was simply about acquainting yourself with the unconscious. That's a way to get to your unconscious, your mind that thinks all the time, that's never off. It's always there, and it was a way to speak to it, a way to talk to it, a way to get things from it. And it's a better way of looking at it, but do I believe it 100%? I mean, I don't know. I think the mind is all in one. There might be different stages and different levels, but I guess I don't know enough yet. There's so many theories and there's so many thoughts on it. I can't pinpoint it exactly what I believe. I'm open-minded to it, but I don't know. Communicating to your subconscious, it makes me want to believe that your mind is in one. And it's just another way to help fine-tune it, is through lucid dreaming or understanding your dreams a little better in non-lucid.
Yeah,
So.
and that's why there's such huge studies on psychology and the subconscious and what is consciousness, and it's just an ongoing debate and learning experience for really all of us.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yep.
it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard to say this means this and that means that. But.
Right.
And there's been a lot of psychologists that have touched on dreams, and they have their own views of stuff. Like, some of them think that it's all just random images and none of it means anything, and some of them, well, maybe not more on the scientific side, but there's the spiritual beliefs and all that stuff, and
Right.
you go into, I don't know, New Age and Wiccan, and even the Bible talks about the importance of dreams and prophetic dreams and stuff like that. So, I mean, the sky's the limit on beliefs on that, I think.
Absolutely. And I like I was telling you before, I want to have maybe a small talk, not now, but in a future podcast, about the great inventors that took from dreams. They interpreted their dreams.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I'll share one now. A gentleman was dreaming, and this is the man who invented the sewing machine, or at least the needle to it. He was trying to figure out how the sewing machine could sew and bring the point back up to the top with the thread. He was having a dream that there was these men in a tribe that had these spears. And on the spears, they had a hole right towards the tip of it. And so he was keeping an eye on this, and when he woke up, he interpreted this dream and said, well, that's all I have to do. I have to put a hole at the tip of the needle. And that's what he did. And now we have the sewing machine because of it. So he interpreted his dream as his thoughts towards the sewing machine. And it worked out great. And he interpreted his dream. Now, if somebody said, well, if you're imagining these tribe men around you with spears, that's your fear of losing your employment at work. You know, it could have been something crazy, but instead he interpreted his dream as he seen fit. And it was a great way of looking at it because that's something he's been stewing over for a great amount of time. So, of course, it's going to bleed into his subconscious, and he's going to take something home with him when he wakes back up.
And that goes back to what we're saying with the common sense thing is that's on your mind, so that's what you're dreaming about. But it's also super amazing that he found a solution in his dream, too.
It's great because...
It's just that, I think it's that super creative mode that you get into when you're dreaming that makes it so awesome.
And that's something I want to have a podcast about in the future.
Yeah, I think we definitely talk about that.
Oh, there's just so many great minds that have used... I mean, even in the Stephen LeBird's book, he uses great ways that people use their dreams and lucid dreams to figure out simple things as rearranging the furniture in a furniture store in order to sell more furniture. So, you know, I mean, people use lucid dreaming and interpreting their dreams and using what's necessary to take back the better of the things, you know, from it, not defining what each individual thing means. Actually, if I can, that's a great point I wanted to bring up I thought about before. When we come to interpretation books, they take single words, not group meanings of you were in a high-speed chase around a cop. No, you're looking at cop. What does a cop mean in a dream? You were driving a car. What does car mean in a dream? And then putting it together, it makes no sense.
Right.
You're running from the cops because you ran a red light the other day. I could make up anything, okay? But you know, I just wanted to point that out, that each individual thing doesn't need to mean something in my mind. Everything as a group adds up to a meaning towards my waking life or something I've been thinking about.
Yeah, so for one person, cop might represent safety and security, and
Beautiful.
for another person, it might represent oppression or violence.
Absolutely,
I mean,
Mike. That's a great point.
The current news right now. I don't have to go into that, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's people have different views of different things. So yeah.
No, you're
so
absolutely
yeah, those
right.
I think those dictionaries are a good starting point, maybe. And bullshit, but I think they can be a good starting point if it makes sense to you, but I would not rely on those at all.
Well, here's my biggest pet peeve. Like I brought up with the tornado story with my fiance's girlfriend, okay? Don't use this to inhabit what your significant other is thinking. Don't use it in a negative way. Use it as an open mind. Me and my fiance share sexual dreams. We share regular dreams. We share fearful dreams. We share all of our dreams because we know they're just dreams. And it's as simple as that. Don't take a dream and manipulate it or use it in any way to harm your significant other. Now, I understand if the person became lucid and then they seeked out their ex to have sex with them. Now, that's not right. You know, now that there's something wrong there. That's not something you want to share, at least, you know? I mean, come on.
Right.
But when it comes to just having a regular dream or a non-lucid dream in our aspect, you need to have an open mind about it. Both parties, if you're going to share it with anyone.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't really pay attention to those until they're reoccurring, and then I'm going, okay, something's going on right here, you know.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
I think, I don't know, I had a few that I wanted to talk about that have been reoccurring for me, and maybe we can play that game where we
tell you what it means. I'll interpret your dream. You want me to interpret your dream for you?
Okay, and then I'll tell you how wrong you are.
All right, perfect. But I think I can do a really good job at it because I've practiced it in my head. I'm pretty good bullshitter, Mike.
Yeah,
I
can see that.
Here,
No
welcome,
offense.
Mike.
I love you.
Welcome to my shop. I partake in a lot of dream interpretation. Please have a seat, Mike. Share with me what's on your mind. What would you like me to interpret for you?
Dr. Whirl, I know you have a PhD in psychology.
Absolutely. I also wrote a book.
Yes, I bought it, and it's amazing.
Fucking right you did.
So I keep having this dream that I find myself back in school.
Oh, school. Okay.
And they vary, but usually I feel like I'm lost. And
I can relate.
Trying to find my classes, and I'm not sure what my class schedule is.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a childhood memory of a school.
Oh,
and
clearly.
And then sometimes it's a college or a university.
Oh, yeah.
And I have that dream a lot.
Well, Mike, I can help you with this. It's really simple, actually. Mike, when you were a child, have you ever feared school before? Have you ever had a nervous moment in school?
Oh, yeah. I was super shy when I was a child.
Yeah. See, I think that's where a lot of it's stemming from, but it's leaking into your adulthood, to your reality now. Right now, your dreams are easily telling you that you're having a little trouble at work. You're having a little fight for dominance. There's people around you that you know are less smart than you. And you can go above and beyond them, Mike. We both know this. You're clearly a smart person. So you're just having a dream, a fight, and a struggle for dominance in your work area. Just like you had a struggle to break from shyness as a child. Am I spot on, Mike, or am I spot on?
Actually, man, holy fuck.
Yeah, I told you, I can fucking interpret some motherfucking dreams, and that'll be $5.50. Yeah, baby.
That part where you said that I feel smarter than some of these fuckers. Mm-hmm. Oh my god.
You know why? Because everybody can relate to that. That's why I said
exactly.
that. Everybody feels there's one person out there that they are better than. Whether they like to admit it or not, I just touched everybody's heart. Everybody, unless you are a manic depressive, I can touch you by saying you're smarter than your fellow peers, at least one or two. Because that right there, you're not going to deny me that. You're not going to tell me you're more stupid than everybody else around you. Wrong. You're going to agree with me there, and now I just pulled you in.
Exactly.
You know, so anyway,
and that's exactly like the horoscope. Oh, that little bit of truth. Oh, it's all accurate. Oh my god.
It sucked me all in.
Man, you're a pretty good bullshitter.
Thank you. Got it from my mama.
Hey, that's a skill that you can use in life.
But anyway, you owe me $5.50, seriously.
Okay. All right.
Or a beer when I come visit you.
Okay, that too.
Hell yeah. So tell me, Mike, how did you interpret your dream?
Well, I'm kind of curious what this online dream dictionary says first. Can we do that?
I am so excited.
I want to see if you match that at all.
But see, when you're looking it up, how exactly are you going to look it up? By keywords? You know, old school dreams?
We've been looking at dreammoods.com.
Yeah.
And so I guess you would just look for... You would have to search school.
School. Yeah, see, that would be the main...
Okay,
the main predecessor in your dream would be school.
I'm going to type school.
Nice. It's SCHUL.
Oh, I spelled it wrong.
Yeah, you probably spelled it wrong. See, I'm like the best interpreter there is. I love this game.
Finished college. Okay. There's a college one. There's a classmates, dance class, education, high school, hooky. Oh my god. Oh. Preschool, private school, school bus, school. How about we just go with school?
I like it.
Okay, so to dream that you are in school signifies feelings of inadequacy and childhood insecurities that have never been resolved. It may relate to anxieties about your performance and abilities. If you are still in school and dream about school, then your dream may be just a reflection of your daily life and has no special significance. Well, at least they admit that part.
Yeah, that's good. I'm liking it so far. Good job, Dream Mood, so far. Let's keep
Alternatively, a dream that takes place in school may be a metaphor for the lessons you are learning from your waking life.
Look at that.
You may be going through a spiritual learning experience.
Spiritual, key word there, guys, because
that can mean any fucking thing you want.
Yeah, spiritual is very broad. spiritual, very, very, very broad. So.
Then there's to dream you're running away from school, whatever.
Yeah.
Looking for school means other shit. Yeah.
But I want to point out how broad that is, because I
Yeah.
made mine very broad. They made theirs very broad. Now everybody can relate. So if you're having a dream about school, somebody's going to die in your future, man. I'm just kidding.
Right.
Just interpret it how you want to interpret it. Now, Go ahead, please. No, please.
Well, I don't mean to sound so cynical and to make fun of all this, but you gotta point out the bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
I can tell you what I think my school dream means, but...
Please.
Well, I mean, I could go into a really long story, but... You know, basically, I was the typical high school... How do I say this? I was the typical teenage male in high school, rebellious. That's the word I'm looking for. And so I got in a lot of trouble. My parents, I was a preacher's kid, so they were super religious.
I didn't know that.
They had, oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. That's what's wrong with me, dude.
Michael.
That's why I have my issues.
Oh, I love it.
But, you know, so they had higher standards for me than what I was willing to live up to. So naturally, I'm going to rebel. Okay, so I'm not going to go into details. It's really nothing too embarrassing, but I don't want to bore everybody. Anyway, marijuana, pornography.
Yes.
That
I
Nirvana.
love it.
That Nirvana's of the devil.
Yeah.
Typical stuff. Okay. I do admit I was not, my grades were horrible. But, so, you know, I go through this traumatic experience where they go, okay, that's it. Tomorrow you're moving to your sister's in Missouri. I was living in Texas at the time. Tomorrow. Holy fuck, you're dumping my world upside down.
Upside down, baby.
Okay. So that's an issue. And they put me in a Christian private school. Whole nother issue. I didn't get the education that I felt like I would have received.
Did you have to wear a skirt?
No.
I know the girls do.
A kilt. A kilt is not a skirt.
Oh, my bad.
We're Irish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, just kidding. But yeah, so I got put in this school, and you know, I still have feelings about this today. And Mom and Dad, I love you, but I still have feelings. They're not listening. I still have feelings about this, and so I think that plays a role. You know, I didn't get the education I feel like I would have got if they had just let me fail a grade, and then I would have been like, oh fuck, I got to get my shit together. You know, they should have done that, I think. But yeah. So, and then I had this whole issue with when I tried to go to college. They go, this is not a real diploma. We don't recognize this private school you went to.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, I got a GED. And then I had 1,000 other issues while I was in college that made it really difficult, and I didn't finish college. So I've always had that regret of like.
So you've always had issues with schooling.
Yeah. So I have that regret that I should have stuck it out and finished college, and you know, I would have been in a better.
Okay. So
job situation, whatever,
you do have some regrets about school,
totally.
Whether it's your fault or your parents' fault. You're having these regrets and you're thinking about this. This is something that's active in your brain.
Yeah, so
why wouldn't you dream about it?
Exactly. So that's my interpretation of my reoccurring school dream. I believe that's 100% where that's coming from.
Oh yeah.
And a book, online dream dictionary can't really tell me that. And maybe there's some of that can actually fit in, and that's why I feel like it's maybe a guideline, but you still got to find your own.
Right. See, I like where you're coming from. You're not completely bashing it because it is broad enough to tell you a little something about that. You know,
yeah,
it's still touching base with you.
So when it says it signifies feelings of inadequacy and childhood insecurities, that's touching on the truth, maybe.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't word it exactly like that, but yeah, that's getting there. Like I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know who has not had a hard time in school. I mean, school is a huge part of our lives. So
that's true. That is
everybody's going to feel very inadequate, you know?
And we all have those feelings at
absolutely.
some point. Yeah, exactly.
And if
we
you're
don't show
not,
it.
if you don't have any inadequacies, then, well, we'll just call you Kanye West.
Exactly.
But, yeah, Mike, if I could just skip off subject again here for a second, and if you're comfortable with talking about it, I'd like to ask you about that study you did at the university. To me, that's so exciting, Mike. It's so exciting. And I was bragging about you at work. Yeah, Mike, the guy I do the podcast with, guys, he's doing a study for the university. So I know you can't give away too much, but can you give away at least what you had to do? Because I read your I don't want to call it resume. Your notes, your studies on what he had to do, and it was touching. It was great. I loved it. You know. Could you tell us?
You also read my dream journal entry too, so you kind of got to see what I was doing.
Yeah.
Well, so another shout out to Dream Views. I would not have had this experience if it weren't for hooking up with people on Dream Views.
We love Dream Views.
Yeah, so there was a posting in the research section about a study with a university in St. Louis, Missouri. Let me pull that up. You know, basically they were looking for people. They wanted them to come in and observe a room, and then take a questionnaire on their memory of the room, and then they have a few months to go home and have a lucid dream where they revisit that room and they try their best to recall their memory, their waking life memory within a dream. So that's what I did. Their website, by the way, is www.stllld.com. And then if you go there, on the very top right side, there is UMSL research link, and you just click that, and it tells you all you need to know about the
read all
thing.
about it. Read all about it.
If you're anywhere near St. Louis, go do it. The guy doing it, he's super cool. I think we became pretty good friends from that, and
it's always nice to find a fellow lucid dreamer, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we spent so much time talking about lucid dreaming.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it wasn't. So I did that. I visited the room, and he gives you 90 seconds, I think, to visit that room, and then kind of you do a little quiz, like I said, on your memory of it, and then there's a video you watch about lucid dreaming. The one I watched was a LaBerge video, and it actually had some information in it that I didn't quite know about. It was really interesting. I enjoyed it, and yeah. So like 2 days later, I had my lucid dream, and I revisited that room.
Yes.
I don't want to say exactly what was in there because no
spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it, but
right.
A lot of elements were missing in my dream, but the cool thing was I remembered. I said, okay, I'm looking for this. It's not there. Go to the next thing. That's not there. So there was one thing that was there, but it was totally different. And then the other thing was slightly different. I know that's very vague, but
you got to keep it vague, though.
If you happen to go do it, I don't want to ruin it. So yeah, it was very interesting. I had a very high level lucid dream in that, and you know, the whole thing was just amazing. So, and I drove. I'm gonna mention I drove 5 hours one way just to do this because I was so excited about it.
Dedication.
It's definitely worth the trip, though.
Love it. I wanted to quote you, Mike, because after reading that, I felt so lifted, like so empowered after I read this, because you're so humble, Mike. I tell you how good you are at this and how I can't wait to be at your level, and how once anybody gets to your level, they're going to be so impressed with how far they've came. But of course you're striving and trying to achieve so much more that you're so humble about it, you know. But one of the quotes you said you were basically walking through the lucid dream, And as you were approaching another or a separate or whatever you want to call it, a new splice in your dream, around you there were these waves, like as if you were passing into the next dream. And you said, quote, "I feel like some grand wizard doing amazing things, but not being particularly impressed with himself." So I picture it as you walking through, and you're not looking at, you know what's happening. You know that there's these waves around you, but you're not looking at them because you're not particularly impressed with your wizardry. And then you said, quote, "mastery." And that just lifted me, because you felt like the fucking man in that fucking dream, Mike. And that's what lucidity's all about. That's what wakes me up right when I have a fucking lucid dream, because it's like, God, I know I'm doing something that is so rare right now. Something that people are not so aware of, that we're trying to make them aware of. And you know that you've done this so much that there's things around you that are happening that you've seen before, and you're not particularly impressed with them. Mastery. I love it, dude. It gets me excited.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was actually how I felt. I mean, I think a lot of times the ego is like supercharged in some of those dreams.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's like, I'm the shit. Fuck you. You're not real.
Yes.
No, yeah, actually what happened at that moment is I'm not always the master. I have a hard time flying, and sometimes I have a hard time traveling. So I used a vehicle this time, and I flew to the destination inside the car. And so when I crashed through the window, I've done this so many times where I just phase out of the car, and then the car fades away to nothing. It just made me feel so badass, because I'm like, yeah, that's normal. Car, just whatever. It's my imaginary car that flies me everywhere.
That's fucking awesome.
And then when I'm done, it goes away.
That's awesome.
I just feel like I know, it's like, I'm so magical.
Right. Oh, look at me, everyone.
Yeah, and that, I try to capture the feeling of my dream when I journal. So
absolutely,
it's a lot of fun.
Something else I want to mention too. We are Lucid For Life. That's Lucid, the number 4, life at mail.com. If you have any uplifting stories that you'd like to share, or you'd like to be a future guest on our show, please email us. Mike's more than happy to take these emails and respond to you, and I do my best to help. But he's the main guy to get a hold of. So if you want to be a part of this, just message us. Tell us what you're about, and your beliefs about this, and what you can bring to Lucid For Life, because we'd love to hear about you.
Yes, any kind of experiences, anything, just talk to us. We love it.
Yeah, and for those that just listen to us, we reached over 100 subscribers now, Mike. I mean, that is amazing to me. So, hey, awesome, guys. We really appreciate it. We started doing this just for him and I, which has helped me out dramatically, because every time after these podcasts, I have a lucid dream within the next 2 nights, because it's amping me up. And,
that's awesome.
And we're hoping it amps you up too. And we want to hear from you guys. So for our first 100 subscribers, keep on listening, guys. We're going to keep on coming, and we'll keep on bringing new subjects for you. But we want to hear from you. So send in your emails. If you want to be a part of this, we use Audacity. Get yourself a decent mic and a headset and a webcam. If you can't do the webcam, it's no big deal. And if you want to remain anonymous, that's no big deal. We want to hear from you guys. We're excited. We want others that are going to be excited. Let's keep this up, baby.
And you mentioned that actually the guy I spoke to in St. Louis, he's all down for being on the podcast with us. So
that's great.
Hopefully I think we're gonna have to maybe not podcast as soon as we have been, because of your work schedule, which is totally cool, understandable, whatever. But hopefully by the time we're back on, we can have this guy on. His name's Remy. And maybe he can talk about the results of the whole.
It's Remy from Dream Views. Remy.
Sleeping Synapse, I think is how you say it.
Okay, yeah, I've seen him on there too. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's been a big part of Dream Views, hasn't he?
I think he's kind of new to it.
Is he?
I think he basically just got on there to spread the word about his study.
Oh,
And he
okay.
has a weekly group where he gets people from the surrounding area to talk about lucid dreaming.
Good for him, man. Good for him.
So he should have a
I
ton
love
of
it.
shit to talk about. So.
Yes, that's great. And also, again, lucid, the number 4 life at mail.com. If anybody else wants to participate in our smell study, we would like to hear from you too. If there's a different way you're doing it, or if you're using maybe a timer, or you're not using Awake Back to Bed, or the way you do your reality checks, or your insights and your thought about our little smell study, please message us about that too, because this is new to us as well. So if you have any other thoughts or feelings about this, let us know, because I'm really excited about this. My expectations are very high, and so is Mike's. And we want to hear as much positive encouragement or better ideas on how to really amp this up and make this work. So email us, guys.
And don't forget we're on Facebook, and we're also now on Twitter if you prefer that.
Hell yeah.
It's just Lucid For Life. Just search it. You'll find us.
Hell yeah.
All right, man. I think that we're good there, aren't we?
Fucking A, baby. Let's do an outro. Well, guys, I tell you what. This is what I've learned. We all want to know what dreams are and what they really do for us. Other than just exploring lucidity and having a good time and talking to your subconscious and yada yada, I want to know what non-lucid dreams really mean. And I like to look at the broad picture of dreams, not just looking at defining one dream with one word. Think about your reality. Think about what you've been thinking about. Think about the things, how it could relate to your life. Don't just think of them as it means one thing. Your main story means one thing. Think about the pleasures of sex and the fears of a tornado. Those things play a huge part in our society. We all want the chance to procreate, and we all want the chance of our survival. So don't just define it in one group word. Figure out what it means to you in your reality and how you can use your dreams as a positive aspect in life.
That's beautiful, man. That really sums up this whole podcast.
Hell yeah.
All right. That wraps up this episode of Lucid For Life.
We are lucid for life, baby.
Hell yeah. Stay lucid, everyone.
I use it to us, baby.